You won UK outdoors. That was a special moment for
It
you.
was kind of a shock with the result because I still feel like there's still a lot more to give. I've not really hit my full potential. After we crossed the line and everything, I was all talking. We're like, guys, we just won like the gold medal, and it's not just gold medal at the Europeans, but we've raced the really big people, big names, and we've proved to ourselves that we can go out there and win. When it comes to pressure, I've always said like it's never about the external pressure, about what people expect of me, what my parents think of me, what my family think of me, what my team think of me. When you start thinking about and feeling the external pressure, you kind of lose sight of the right there and now.
Are you tired of being asked about your name? Do people always ask that as the first question?
It's kind of interesting how like my name came about. My family were there, though I could literally hear them screaming, and I thought I'm really proud of myself, and I hope they're proud of me as well.
Hello and welcome to the England Athletics podcast. This is the Ready Set Glasgow series inspired by the Commonwealth Games. Today we're here in Manchester, which is convenient. It's local to my next guest and to me as well. My name's Alex Seftel. I'm an athletics commentator, and joining me is the European Under-23 200 metre champion, UK champion over the same distance, Success Eduan. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Now, I think there's plenty that people don't know about you, but really interesting to find out a few new things. One of them is that you study midwifery. So tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm currently doing midwifery in my last year of this degree. So I'm on the latter end, exam season at the moment, and then hopefully, God willing, graduating in November.
How does that compare to some of the big races that you've done? There is some pressure involved, there's a lot of hard work, and then trying to deliver on the day of an exam.
It's definitely different, but it still kind of requires the same kind of concept. So there's still a lot of pressure, there's still a lot of adrenaline, like the emergency buzzers can go off when you're on the wards. And long hours. We are required to do 2,300 clinical hours. So spaced out in 3 years. So it's very, very intense, but it's definitely taught me a lot about time organization and the communication and just like a lot of resilience, which I've learned over the last 3 years. But very interesting degree, and sometimes I think, what on earth am I doing? But here I am.
That's fascinating, because I think there aren't many athletes who have that crossover. Some who have a scientific one. I think medical students we've heard of, doctors, not necessarily midwives. And what made you choose that kind of route?
I've always wanted to be like working within the hospital. I'm not sure why, but that's just kind of where I've kind of learnt towards. And when my littlest brother was born, I saw the role of the midwife in a sense, and that kind of solidified it for me a little bit. And as I grew up a little bit older, I realised I liked the way a midwife cares for women and pregnant people. So that's kind of where I was looking for. It was between that and being an obs and gynae doctor, but for now it's midwifery.
It's a real special personal thing, isn't it? You just mentioned your family there, so you're one of four.
Yeah.
So what was the dynamic like? I think you're the oldest.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. A lot of pressure. Trying to pave the way. Not the most perfect sister, but I think I do try my best. But I do like a full house. It's quite fun, but it can be quite chaotic at the same time.
Are you tired of being asked about your name? Do people always ask that as the first question?
Yeah, they do. I'm not getting tired because I feel like it's only, I literally spoke to my cousin the other day, and I said, it's kind of interesting how like my name came about, because I always used to think it was more about, the birth was a success. And I've never really asked my parents like the reason for my name. I just kind of thought, the birth was a success. I'm like the oldest. But I think it was more like a revelation of my life and what they want for my life, and that was kind of how like my parents prayed about it, and that my life was essentially be a success. I'm not saying that I'm going to be the most perfect person and I won't fail, but it's how I get back up from that.
I love that. That's really nice words. I mean, now we're here in Manchester, local to you, but actually you grew up in Spain, which is another thing people might not know. So tell me just a little bit about that.
Yeah, once I kept it a secret, it was kind of a secret at the same time, because I've not really spoken about it. But I grew up in Spain. I was born there, and I came here when I was, I don't remember, like 10 or 11. I feel like that was so long ago. I've basically spent most of my life here than in Spain. But I'm still a Spaniard at heart. So, Spain was really beautiful, and I loved it there. I was doing swimming there, so it wasn't track at all, and I wasn't really interested in track until in high school. So, but yeah, Spain has a special place in my heart.
You see, this is all the surprise part, isn't it? We'll get onto the success that you've had, but full of revelations. What got you into swimming then? Was that something that your parents sort of suggested you try?
I have no idea, you know. I actually haven't, because I feel like I've done it for a very long time when I was there, pretty much like my whole life. So I don't really know how I got into it, but I enjoyed it. It was quite fun. It was taxing, but it was fun. I did loads of different sports. I was in tennis, I was doing football. Like I was just doing everything and anything. I think I was just very energetic, and the sun was always out, so like you couldn't be inside. So yeah, that was kind of.
I've heard from people who have children growing up, they actually want to tire them out by doing lots of sports or lots of activities. I'm not suggesting for a moment that was the situation there.
Yeah.
But it is really interesting because there's not too much crossover with athletics and swimming. I think growing up, people have tended to do maybe the team sports that you'd naturally do at school. But was there a moment then when you decided to focus on athletics?
I'm going to say very later on. So I only started when I was in the first year of high school. But I never really not took it seriously, but I didn't really realize my potential until like 2-3 years in. So I think when I started doing the international competitions, which was in 2021 post-COVID, I went to European Championships and I thought, oh, maybe I could actually do something with this. And but yeah, it was an interesting revelation for myself as well.
You talk about European Under-20 Championships there.
Yeah.
That's interesting because the whole team is quite often made up of people at different sort of stages. Some people, I think, they've had an amazing race, they've run a qualifying time and they've made it there. Some people have been serious for a number of years, and others, they might go on and do completely different things. Yeah, how do you look back on that team now? Because it was a successful championships for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, we literally said that was like genuinely the GB takeover at the time because we had so many medals pretty much in like every event, the sprints especially, and we that was especially after COVID, there wasn't much of like a team environment. So that was my first ever team environment really internationally, which I really enjoyed. But like you said, it was more of a realization that I can do this sport professionally. I realized my potential. I was a competitive athlete anyway. I'm a competitive person in anything. But that European Championships, I think that kind of set the tone.
Yeah, so that was in Tallinn in 2021, so 5 years ago now, wow.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And whether at those championships or coming through the next couple of years, you had yourself and Joy Eze and Faith Akimbeleje and Naya Wedderburn Goodison. And I could go on for quite a while here. Renee Regis, I think you get the point that I'm making. There is an incredible group of young sprinters. And yeah, what's it like to be a part of that kind of generation? Just a generation that people hope that there'll be big things for without putting too much pressure.
I think generally we are probably the best, without tooting my own horn, but we are kind of like the best influx of like young generation coming through that will actually break free into the seniors. And like the names you mentioned, we're literally all friends, like me, Naya, Joy, like we're really all good friends, and we can just sit down at the table and just laugh about things that we used to do in the past and what kind of competitions we used to do in like English schools and things like that. So and like you said, like even like Emmy Noonan, like Mary John, like it's just like all these people that we kind of like were in championships together in the underage groups, and we're now coming through into the senior. It's kind of saying like, you know, we're here to stay, we're not going anywhere. And that's literally what I told one of the UK staff last year, that do not be surprised of kind of how many people you have to pick from like the under 23s, because it's no joke, we're here to stay and we're
you
not
better
going
pick
anywhere.
us.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to tell you who to pick, but like you can just see the names coming through from last year under 23 championships and like people who ended up going to Tokyo, and it's like there is a threat, 100%.
It's really interesting, but I want to ask who your idols were, the people that were older. You know, it could be people still in the sport now, but I wonder what kind of idols you've had, maybe even in other sports or outside of sport.
Sounds really like sad, but I feel like I've never really had an idol, because I've always, if you idolize someone so much, you lose sight of yourself and what you want to achieve, and you kind of see yourself in them. I don't want to do that. I've never really said, oh my gosh, I can't want to be like this person. I think I admire certain people's like resilience and things like that. I think one of my I feel like if someone said that, someone asked me, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's Usain Bolt, but it really isn't really. Like I kind of admire his impact in this sport, but I wouldn't necessarily say like he was my idol. If I had to pick one, probably the person who, not look up to, but kind of admire her resilience and how she comes across is probably Sydney McLaughlin-Roney. She uses she doesn't fear about being really open about her faith, and how that can impact her sport, but that she's so like resilient and determined. Also Nicola Slagers, she a high jumper, and just like many different like people as a whole. But I wouldn't necessarily say I've got the one person that I've kind of looked up in this sport, but I kind of admire how they got there, and I love having like seeing the stories behind what they're doing now.
I like that. I mean, people sometimes ask me, and it's completely different. Like, do you idolise any commentator? And I just think, well, I appreciate them for who they are, and I think, oh, that person's got great attributes, or they clearly work very hard. But I think idolise sometimes the wrong word. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that you see that. Now, your first UK indoor title, I think it was, you got a gold medal on the indoor track a few years ago, and people were looking at you as a great talent. But then you won UK outdoors recently, and beating Amy Hunt there. That was a special moment for you, because you were asked about it afterwards and said, did you expect that when you woke up this morning? You said, well, kind of, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love Amy. Like, we've not grown up together in a way, but she's really nice. She's a really nice girl, and I respect her all the way. I respect everyone around me, and it was, like I said, I do believe in myself, and the team around me believe in me. So I did wake up thinking, you just got to go out there and execute the race you want to, and the result will come. So it was kind of a shock with the result, because I still feel like there's still a lot more to give. Not necessarily like in the race itself, but I think as a whole, and with a lot going on around me at the moment, I feel like I've not really hit my full potential. So it was a crazy time, especially when my family were there, though I could literally hear them screaming, and I thought, I'm really proud of myself, and I hope they're proud of me as well.
Well, that's a bit of a crowning moment, but it all adds up to the fact that 200 metres seems to be your thing, generally speaking. And now, initially though, you were spotted by one of your teachers doing a much longer race. Now, tell me a bit about that story, because it was cross country, wasn't it?
Yeah, never again. So I started doing cross country, because obviously cross country is like in the winter times before you actually do the indoor season for the athletics. So, like I said, I'm a very competitive person. So when I started my high school, I was doing like rowing, netball, everything, you name it. I was doing every sport. And they're like, oh, do you want to do cross country? Because when we're doing PE, we'll do cross country, and I'll be a bit big-headed. I'll take my time, and then for the last lap, I'll absolutely blast it. But anyway, we got to this competition, and the coach told me, pace it right. You've got good people here. You're like one of the youngest in this, in this competition. So I was like, yeah, whatever. They were showing us the course, and I thought, maybe I could blast it. If I blast it, I'm going to win. And I'm like, I don't want to do anything other than like coming first. And my dad was watching me, and he's a very competitive person as well. Like, he pushes me. So he was like, do what you want to do. And I thought, right, I just blasted it. I literally ran the whole course, and I started hyperventilating like 200 meters, I think, away from the finish line. My teacher was like, slow down, Success, slow down. And I just blocked her out. I ignored her. I was like, I'm doing my own thing. Like, you're not running for me, I'm running. So I was like, I need to run the whole way. I paid the price because I was sick for like 20 minutes. Like, I literally had a bin next to me, and my other friend, she was like holding me. I thought, no, like, I'm actually like sick. So yeah, never again. But that is kind of how athletics kind of started.
That's incredible. I love how you said that. I just blocked her out.
Yeah,
if you said that today about
I'm so
a race.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an unusual story, I think. I mean, yeah, plenty of people that say they won't do cross country again. No. But yeah, so we talked about kind of coming into athletics and some of the other experiences you've had. We talked about the moment you've been in just now, winning the UK championships. But the experience at senior level, one thing that people would pick out would be the race you had at the World Relays last year against Sharika Jackson, and running her down. I think a lot of people saw that and went, wow, if you can do that, then you can handle any situation. So what was that moment like for you at last year's World Relays?
When it comes to pressure, I've always said, like, it's never about the external pressure, about what people expect of me, what my parents think of me, what my family think of me, what my team think of me. And I think when you start thinking about and feeling the external pressure, you kind of lose sight of the right there and now moment, and the only pressure I feel is the internal, is how I want to prove myself or how I want to do a certain thing. And when I was on the start line, I was literally like, not the smallest, 'cause I'm quite tall, but I kind of saw these people, I thought, oh my gosh, like these people have won to the Olympics, they've won medals at like global championships. But I thought the moment you start looking at what they've done, you realise, what have you not done as an athlete? And that's not something I do. But I was like, oh my goodness, like you have to rise to the occasion, Success, not because of any of them or because of your teammates necessarily, but because of yourself. And it's a team sport. So I was thinking, just get the baton and you run. And that kind of, when I crossed the line and I just realized what we've just done, because like I said, it's not just me, like Bianca passed the baton to me in a really good position. And I felt like that then, put me in a good position to keep running. But I was just I don't know, it was just such a high. I feel like I couldn't really come down from that high. And after we crossed the line and everything, I was all talking, we're like, guys, we've just won like the gold medal. And it's not just gold medal at the Europeans, but we've raced the really big people, big names, and we've proved to ourselves that we can go out there and win medals. And that's just our mentality in the relay team. It's just win or nothing else.
So it was quite easy to get quite high off that high and find it difficult to come back down.
Yeah, I think because that was very like international, and it was like my first senior competition, I'd say, and it was I was very high for a very long time. And then coming back down, I was like, oh my goodness, like we have to now focus on the rest of the season, especially when the European Championships, under 23 Championships was my main goal. So it's just kind of seeing that and not forgetting that, losing sight of that.
So when you talk about pressure, I thought you were about to say, pressure? What pressure?
What
pressure is for tyres.
No, I feel like, honestly, pressure, you shouldn't let pressure get to you, because that's when you just lose sight of everything and then you stop enjoying it. And it's easier said than done, obviously, but that's kind of how I work.
Yeah, so we've had that moment at the World Relays, and it's funny because I know, have you watched that back?
Yeah.
A lot, yeah?
I won't say a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like my family's watched a lot more than I have. But I've watched it a few times. Because
I was hearing the tennis player Coco Gauff, the American, she beat Venus Williams at the age of 15, and she was saying, I've never watched back that. And it was a massive, massive shock. She was only like, no one had really heard of her. And Venus Williams had won Wimbledon a number of times at that point, but to never watch it back, to feel that it's too sacred and you just want to move on straight away as a young 15-year-old, I found really interesting. I don't know if you can understand that psychology, not wanting the highs to be too high and the lows to be too low.
I do understand that, but I feel like sometimes you want to watch it back, especially when you feel like you're going through a hard time, or you want to remember your potential, remember how that made you feel. The only two reasons mainly I watch things back is to see how I ran the race, to see what I can improve on, but then also relive the feelings, like the nervousness and the thoughts that I was thinking of in that race, and just kind of saying, right, we need to kind of remember how that made you feel, and you want more, so you got to go for more. So just remind yourself, and that's kind of the main reason why I watch it back. But I do think enjoying the highs is really important, because it makes you realise like you do enjoy it, and you just kind of remember what you've done and you want to keep going.
Makes perfect sense. Now, you talked about the European under-23s, and you come there with already a nice set of European medals from the past, and not many people are able to go to two European under-20s, although I know like Catherine Merry is an example of someone who has, because she was also great really young. And not making it all about your rivals, but you did have the Henrietta Jaeger, who she was trying to do a 400 and 200 meter double in the same session, I think. But you were there as kind of the 200 meter boss. But it was so close. So yes, I know everyone always says I focused on my own race, but you must have been able to sense the presence of how close that race was.
100%, and especially when everybody in that final wanted to win. But I remember going into the Europe, like the whole goal last year was Project Gold, and that was to win Europeans, because like you said, like my previous European and underage group championships, I've came bronze twice, and I thought, I can't do that again. I need to eradicate all that and go for gold, especially my last underage group championships. So I was like, especially when you have a home favourite, and I've never ever underestimated Henrietta. Like, she's a very, very strong athlete. And I remember after the 400 final, Mary John, she was like, Success, like, you need to go out there and like just do not fail.
Do it for her, yeah.
Yeah, like go for it, and you can do it. And I thought, right, okay. But yeah, like I ran the race very differently to how I probably run it now, but it was more because I knew that Henrietta could really come back at the end. So just making sure that yes, focus on your own, but just run it in a code. Like, I just feel like there's never been, for me anyway, how I'm running races. I just base it off how the competition plans out on the day. So as I race, I kind of plan how I go. But yeah, towards the end, oh my gosh, I could really feel her, and I thought, just keep your form. And that's what my coach said before we went out into the track. She just said, keep your form all the way, and you'll get it. So it was more about keeping my form. And yeah, when the relief that I had, the biggest sigh I had was when I saw my name as number one. I thought, oh my goodness, thank God, because I would have been really annoyed.
And there was massive celebrations both then and also with the relay,
Yeah.
the same group of girls that we've been talking about, and right up against the hoardings of the stand, you had big sort of, you know, GB flags and big contingent there. And I know that was special for you, as it was when you were on the podium as well, able to take that in. That must have been really something.
It was, because like I said, I have a mentality to win. I feel like I'm a different person on the track to how I am, in training or things like that. So all of us have the same mentality, and we said we're going to win. And you know what? If we're going to win, we may as well get the championship record whilst we're there. And it was just the same mentality the whole way. It's not one person thinking, yeah, I'll be happy if we came second. And it was like, we have to win. And we emphasized that the whole way. And we said, we're going to win. We're going to get the gold. And we're thinking, how are we going to celebrate when we win? You know, that kind of thing, like speaking positively, speaking into existence, because if there's any negativity in the camp, it's just going to ruin everything. So it was just more of keeping together. And like, although, like I said, me and Alison or me and Kissy would be racing against each other at the championships, but would still sit around with each other even before the race and just like talk. And it was just, I think it's really important to build relationships for when we do come together for the relay, because then you have that same energy. So yeah, it was really special.
And as well as that, those competitions, I think socially, they're pretty good, aren't they? You know, I mean, whether it's between sessions, we sometimes see like people making TikTok videos in between, or like whether they've had like an after party of everyone, kind of all athletes the same age group. Yeah, so what's it like socially to be at the championship like that?
It's really fun for the under age groups. I think sometimes other camps can be quite feisty and quite like, hot and heavy, but I do enjoy camps that's very together and like the vibes are great, because when the vibes are great, we're going to go on the track, we're going to feel great. So I feel like it's really important to kind of keep that togetherness, but yes, still realize I'm still going to race against you, I want to beat you, but it's more, we have a job to do at the track when we're together. So,
and as someone who's been part of this kind of talent pathways, often the word used, whether it's UK athletics or England athletics, putting a lot of time, a lot of investment into that, to then getting a chance to be on the senior stage at the Commonwealth Games. That's a really nice journey to fruition, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's, last year was Project Gold, and that was to win Europeans. And I'm coming home with 2 goals. I thought, okay, great, this is amazing for where I want to go and my trajectory. So this year, I sat down with my coach and, my team, and I said, this is what I want to do, and I want to solidify myself in the senior setup. But it's not going to be given to me very easily. I need to work my way up, and I don't want to just about make it. I want to make it and be there and not leave there, if that makes sense. So it was more about, okay, how do we get there? Like, yes, I'm in my third year of my degree, but how do we get there, physically, mentally, and everything? So I said, project individual. We have to make individual teams now. We've made the relay teams, for World Relays and Tokyo last year, which I was fortunate to be part of the team, but is now, okay, we need to go one more up. And that's just the way I think all the time. That's the way I was raised, is, okay, you got to move up and, be up there.
It's really interesting. We spoke to Adam Jamili also on this podcast, and he's been part of so many relay teams, and he was saying about what it was like when people find out about who's in the relay and yeah, what that's like, because you obviously had a special moment finding out that you would be running, and you don't want to be going home ideally without getting some sort of run out. So what was that moment like when you found out that you would be part of a quartet to run?
It was really exciting, actually, because like I said, it wasn't really my plan. Like, I kind of thought my season would kind of end after the British Championships, but the way I kind of felt physically, I thought, right, we have to, if we feel okay, we can go to Tokyo. But running this world standard, I thought, okay, we're nearly there, kind of, and getting the call made me feel like really like just the cherry on top for the season. You know, I started my season with world relays. That was my first ever run of the year, and then ending it with a relay was quite fun. And it taught me a lot as a person and as an athlete as well. So yeah, the call was really fun, and I remember calling my coach straight away. I was like, oh my gosh, like I've actually been like selected for Tokyo, and she was like, amazing.
Because Jonah Afreloko was talking previously on this podcast a couple of years ago about how there was a sudden real breakthrough in opportunity. So first he was able to run a relay leg, and then he was trusted to run a different leg, and that felt like a breakthrough as well. And he's around at the time these more experienced athletes when the team is picked, and he's kind of like, you know, a tiny bit shy but also believes in himself. So yeah, what's that moment like when the team is announced who's actually going to be running?
Oh, it's very nerve-wracking because it's a team of 6, sometimes it was a team of 8, and obviously only 4's running, and you kind of think, oh my gosh, like, am I worthy enough? Sometimes you question yourself, you know, what team are they going to put out there and what they want to achieve out in the heats or what they want to achieve in the final. But yeah, when the whole selection and everything came about and I ended up running second leg, it was just an interesting, because I've never done second leg internationally, so it was just like, okay, if they put me here, then we need to show that we can do it. Not more so for them, but for myself. And yeah, but it's quite fun to go out there. It was fun to go out with the girls and perform, and yeah, so definitely a moment to cherish.
So you're 21 years of age now, and yeah, you've had quite a lot of experience in a nice sort of step-laddered fashion, right from under 20s, which we talked about you going to twice. We're here now in Manchester, which is, you know, convenient and close by, but we've also got some inspiration of being in the M11 club room, if you like, which is really nice that they have that atmosphere. But does it mean something to you to be representing Manchester in a way? You know, as a Sale Harrier, that we often see that club vest with you on. Is that something quite special? Because also, if you think about the Greater Manchester region and just how well it's providing talent for the UK senior team right now.
Yeah, I think 100%. I love Manchester. I've always kind of said that, like, the weather isn't always great, but the times that the championships are on, it somehow rains. But honestly, it's not always like that. But yeah, I do enjoy it here, and it's I'm very grateful and honoured to represent Manchester. So Harriers, and like you said, like, there's a lot of talent from the Greater Manchester, like Keeley, for example, and I think it's reminding myself that you can be from anywhere and perform and show out and show your talents.
I had a little look to see if you've ever done 400 metres, and I could see that you've done 300, and you did a 4x400 metre relay.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst.
For your club in the National Athletics League. So do you think there's any potential that we might see more of that in future?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, simply. Not for me, not for completely just, you know, go straight to the 4s. But I do want to try 1. I said to my coach, I want to do 1. Even if I run really well, I don't want to just be a 400 athlete. I think that's way too much right now.
So finally, we like to sort of hand over questions between people who appear on this podcast. Okay. And yeah, it has been asked, how do you switch off? I'm sure you have a good answer for this, because it could be switching off from work or indeed track and field, because there's this whole idea. Dan Pembroke, who's co-presenting on this podcast, he has his own beer. So he brews his own beer. And in theory, as he was saying on the first episode, it doesn't go together, athlete and beer, but actually athletes and celebration go together well. And he had this idea of having a gold medal and a beer that's called Paris Gold, because that's where he won gold. So, you know, for him, that was just allowing himself to be himself. Mm-hmm. So how do you switch off? You know, what's you away from?
I feel like because I've got so much going on, I need to learn how to switch off, because I feel like I'm always on the constant go.
I empathise.
Yeah. Things I like to do is sleep. That's one way to switch off. Have a nap, just forget about all your problems. I love to read. I'm a reader. I love my Kindle. Haven't had a lot of chance to do that recently because there's a lot going on. But that's another one. But I also
What's some of the last things that you read?
What did I read last? It was from Colleen Hoover, Verity, I think it was. It was really good book. But then I also like to bake, and not like bake cakes. I like to make bread. Like, that's my thing. I love making bagels. I literally make for my cousin and my family. Well, for myself, more like. But yeah, homemade like bread and stuff I love to do. So
yeah, I mean, you learn from people who bake. They can't eat everything that they bake, so they have to have family members and friends who are very accepting.
That's my cousin. I give it to her. We swap. She cooks, I bake. We swap.
If your siblings were here now, what do you think they would say about you and your athletics career?
I think they'll say they're proud of me. And I think my brother will probably be like, yeah, you can do more. We know you can do more. Yeah, I think they have such a belief in me. We're not really a sloppy family, like we don't talk about stuff like that, but I can definitely like kind of tell that they do believe in me and they can see that I can, go higher. And I think that's what makes me feel like every time I'm on the start line, do it for them and do it for yourself. But yeah, I hope they're proud of me and I hope they know I can do more.
Success.
They're very critical.
I think we've found out so much about you and also how you're developing as an athlete, as a person. All of these reflections that are coming out, and you're saying how you feel like you need to maybe learn how to switch off and other things. But we have seen some wonderful moments, the jubilation, the cheers, the shrieks, even yourself and Joyeze and others, right from Tallinn, where I was following that, commentating, and then last year as well in Bergen, when for some reason it was like incredibly hot weather in Norway. So we have had some of that in Manchester as well that summer. Long may that continue, because I'm someone who's kind of like new to Manchester the last couple of years, and I do not want to have periods of the year where you literally cannot go for a walk because it is raining so hard in your face. It's literally like a pitch that's unplayable or a track that's unrunnable. So so great to chat to you, and wish that there will be more successful moments.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for watching this podcast. Don't forget, more episodes to catch up on YouTube, as well as the audio apps, Spotify, Apple and SoundCloud.